The Galactic Council Room was vast, a shimmering expanse filled with a diverse array of alien representatives from countless planets. It was a place where the fate of galaxies was decided, where the future of civilizations hung in the balance. A long table stretched across the chamber, covered in holographic displays, each flickering with images of different worlds. The council members sat in their seats, their alien features blending into the light, their eyes sharp and calculating. There were no loud voices here, no quick movements. Everything was calm, controlled, until the question came. A young cadet, barely out of his training, sat at the far end of the table. His name was Kalon, and his ambition was evident in the way he leaned forward, eager to make a name for himself. He had spent years in the academy, learning the ways of his species, preparing for this very moment, sitting in the Galactic Council chamber. This was where decisions were made, where history was shaped. He was ready to speak, ready to ask the one question that had been eating at him since the day he joined. Why is it illegal to approach Earth? Kalon asked, his voice steady but filled with curiosity. The question was simple, straightforward, yet there was an undercurrent of something deeper. It wasn't just the usual query about planetary policies. It was a question that could unravel secrets the galaxy had kept hidden for centuries. The entire room fell silent. The older council members glanced at each other, their expressions betraying the unease the question had stirred. Some exchanged quick, nervous glances, while others looked down at their displays, unwilling to meet Kalon's gaze. One figure at the center of the table, an elder commander known as Xerox, slowly turned his head. His eyes, aged and worn, locked onto the young cadet. His presence commanded respect, and even Kalon could feel the weight of his stare. "Cadet Kalon," Xerox's voice rumbled, deep and authoritative. "That is not a question for you to ask." His words were sharp, filled with authority. The entire room seemed to shift with the tension that hung in the air. Xerox's tone was stern, a clear warning, but Kalon didn't back down. His eyes stayed fixed on the elder, a silent challenge in his gaze. Xerox let out a heavy sigh, his shoulders sagging as if burdened by the weight of the knowledge he carried. "I see you are eager to understand," he said, his voice softening just slightly. "But some questions are better left unanswered. You don't know what you are asking." The room remained quiet, but Kalon's curiosity only grew. He had heard rumors, whispers in the dark corners of space, about a place called Earth. It was always spoken of in hushed tones, as though it was a forbidden subject, a name that struck fear into the hearts of even the most powerful species in the galaxy. Earth, an insignificant, primitive world, they said. But if it was so insignificant, why was it so dangerous to approach? Seeing the confusion in Kalon's eyes, Xerox stood up from his seat. The elder alien's body was tall and imposing, covered in dark armor that gleamed under the soft light of the council room. He moved slowly, deliberately, his every step measured and calculated. The holographic display of Earth flickered on the table, showing an image of the planet from space, a beautiful blue marble floating in the vastness of the galaxy. To anyone else, it might have looked like an unremarkable world. But to the council members, it was anything but ordinary. Xerox raised his hand, and the image of Earth zoomed in, revealing the planet's surface. "This," he said, his voice now low and filled with a heavy, almost mournful tone, "is why you must never ask such questions. Let me tell you what happened the last time we tried to approach Earth." The council members leaned in, their attention now fully on Xerox. Kalon, eager to hear more, shifted in his seat. Xerox began his tale, the words slow and deliberate, as though he was carefully choosing each one. "Many years ago, before you were born," Xerox began, his voice filled with the weight of experience, "a fleet of our best soldiers was sent to Earth on a reconnaissance mission. They were to study the human race, to observe their world from a distance, and gather information. The galaxy believed Earth was no different from countless other worlds. Primitive, underdeveloped, insignificant." He paused for a moment, allowing the words to sink in. But we were wrong. Kalen sat back in his seat, his eyes wide with curiosity as Zarak continued, his words painting a picture of an unimaginable encounter. Our fleet arrived at Earth with the assumption that we were dealing with a species far below us. Our technology far outmatched theirs, and we expected to find little more than scattered tribes living in primitive conditions. But we found something else. The humans were nothing like we expected. Zarak's gaze turned cold, distant, as though he was reliving the memory. The room was silent, the tension palpable. Even the other council members were now hanging on Zarak's every word. The humans were smarter than we had anticipated. They detected us the moment we entered their solar system. Their technology was more advanced than we realized, and they immediately began to fight back. What we thought would be a simple reconnaissance mission turned into a brutal, unforeseen battle. Zarak's voice grew darker, filled with regret. The humans fought with a kind of ferocity that none of us could have predicted. They fought like cornered animals, using everything they had, everything they could invent in the heat of the moment, to defend their world. Kalon felt a chill run down his spine. The elder's words were heavy with the gravity of the situation. "What happened to your fleet?" he asked, unable to hold back his curiosity. Zarak's eyes hardened, and for a moment, Kalon could see the weight of the failure in them. "We lost. Our fleet was destroyed. Entire squads of our finest soldiers were wiped out in a matter of hours. The humans were relentless, and they did not stop until we had no choice but to retreat." Kalon could hardly believe what he was hearing. The mighty fleet, sent to conquer a primitive world, had been defeated by humans. The idea seemed impossible, yet Zarak's face told a different story. Zarak's voice softened as he finished his tale. "That is why Earth is forbidden. We don't understand them. We don't know how they can be so strong. They may seem primitive, but they are not. They are something else entirely." He paused, his gaze sweeping over the council. "And that is why we made the law to never approach them again. Because humans are a threat unlike anything the galaxy has ever known." As Zarak finished speaking, the council chamber was still. The image of Earth, once just a speck in the void of space, now loomed larger than ever. Kalon looked at it, his mind racing. How could a species like humans, so young, so vulnerable, be so dangerous? What had he just learned? The council had kept Earth's secrets for a reason. And now, those secrets were out in the open. But Kalon's curiosity was not sated. He had to know more. Why had the humans fought so fiercely? What was it about them that made them so powerful? And most importantly, why had they been left alone after all these years? The room was filled with a sense of foreboding as the elder's tale hung in the air. The young cadet's mind was set. He would find the answers, no matter what the council said. The council room dimmed, the holograms fading into darkness, but Kalon's thoughts were still on Earth, on the humans who had driven an entire fleet to retreat. The tale had only just begun. The first time the aliens made their move, they were certain of one thing. Their cloaking technology was superior. It had been perfected over centuries of war and exploration, a masterpiece of stealth that made their ships invisible to every kind of detection known in the galaxy. Their plan was simple: arrive undetected, observe the planet, learn about the humans, and leave without a trace. They didn't even expect any resistance. After all, Earth was supposed to be a primitive, insignificant world. What threat could humans possibly pose? But as the alien ship slowly glided through the void of space, hidden from all detection, the first mistake was made. They underestimated humanity's ingenuity. The ship, a massive and sleek vessel designed to blend seamlessly with the stars, drifted closer to Earth, its cloaking field active and impenetrable. Inside the ship, the crew of highly trained soldiers and scientists prepared for their mission. They were the elite of their species, seasoned in battles across countless galaxies. Their leader, a veteran soldier named Zarak, stood at the ship's helm, his eyes fixed on the blue planet below. "Prepare the scanners," he ordered, his voice calm yet filled with anticipation. The crew moved quickly, their motions fluid and precise. The humans would not know they were here. They would be invisible, an unseen specter in the sky. Cloaking at 100%, a technician confirmed. Zarek nodded in approval, though his mind was sharp, ever alert. He knew the mission had to be flawless. There was no room for error. The humans had been labeled a threat after reports of strange activity near their solar system had surfaced in the alien intelligence networks. This was the first contact, and it was critical that the ship remained hidden. As the ship descended further, the planet's surface began to reveal itself in holographic projections on the ship's control panels. Earth, with its swirling oceans and vast continents, appeared peaceful from this distance, but the crew knew better. Beneath the surface of this seemingly tranquil world lay a species capable of unexpected power, power that could turn a routine mission into a deadly encounter. "Let's keep it brief," Zarek said. "We're here to observe, not to engage." He turned to his second-in-command, Bonner, an experienced soldier with countless battles under his belt. "Maintain position. No contact unless necessary." Bonner, tall and imposing, nodded. His eyes were sharp, reflecting years of training and experience. The young cadets aboard the ship were in awe of him. He was a living legend among their kind. If anyone could ensure the mission's success, it was Bonner. The alien ship continued its silent descent, unnoticed by the world below. The humans had no idea that their sky was being watched, that their planet was being observed by a species far more advanced. But the aliens were about to discover something they had not anticipated. As the ship approached Earth's atmosphere, it suddenly happened. An unexpected blip on their scanners. At first, it was small, a tiny disturbance, almost unnoticeable against the backdrop of space. The crew dismissed it at first, assuming it was just a glitch. But Zarek's instincts told him otherwise. "Report," he ordered sharply. "It's nothing, just a minor fluctuation in the atmosphere," the technician replied. But Zarek wasn't convinced. He could feel it. Something was wrong. Suddenly, another blip appeared on the scanner. This time, it was bigger, more distinct. The technician's voice trembled with unease. "Captain, we're being tracked." Bonner stood up, his expression unreadable. The ship's cloaking technology had never failed them before. How could they be detected? "They must have advanced sensors," Bonner muttered. This wasn't supposed to happen. Before Zarek could issue a command, a sudden surge of energy rocked the ship. The shockwaves reverberated through the hull, causing lights to flicker. A loud alarm blared as the ship's systems scrambled to assess the damage. "Cloaking field failure," the technician screamed. "We've been detected." Before they could even respond, another blast struck the ship, sending it veering off course. The ship shuddered violently as the atmosphere ripped into its hull. Flames began to spread along the edges, and alarms blared louder, echoing throughout the entire ship. The once invisible vessel was now visible to all of Earth's defense systems. Zarek's eyes widened in disbelief. The humans had not only detected them, they had shot them down. What happened? Zarek's voice was harsh, his mind racing. Who's responsible for this? Impossible. Bonner's voice cracked with disbelief. He had seen battlefields across galaxies, but this was unlike anything he had ever experienced. The humans, this primitive species, had turned their own technology against them. It was unimaginable. But there was no time to process the shock. The ship's descent grew faster, uncontrollable now, as the gravitational pull of Earth threw it down. Zarek and Bonner quickly scrambled for control, but it was too late. "We need to eject," Zarek barked. "Now." But even as he spoke, the ship's systems continued to fail. A sudden burst of energy ignited across the hull, and the cloaked ship was no longer an invisible phantom. It was a giant fireball streaking across the sky. "Brace for impact," Bonner shouted, but his voice was drowned out by the deafening roar of the ship's descent. The ship plunged downward, crashing through Earth's atmosphere in a spectacular firestorm of flames and debris. From the ground below, the sight was nothing short of awe-inspiring. A massive, burning object, its hull glowing bright with heat, streaked across the sky. For a brief moment, it looked like a shooting star, but those who were watching knew better. This was no star. It was the remnants of an alien ship, destroyed in the blink of an eye by the humans' counterattack. As the ship plummeted toward the Earth, Bonner's voice came over the comms. "Zarek, get out. You have tow." The message cut off abruptly. Zarek's heart pounded in his chest. Bonner, the legendary soldier, the man who had been a cornerstone of their army, was gone. The ship exploded on impact with Earth's surface, sending shockwaves through the surrounding landscape. Bonner's sacrifice, his heroic final stand, was lost in the fiery chaos of the crash. Zarek's eyes burned with rage and sorrow as he watched the ship fall from the sky, its fireball disappearing into the distance. He had lost more than just a ship. He had lost a comrade, a brother in arms. And the humans had done this. They had managed to destroy what no other species had been able to. And now they had made their mark on the galaxy. In the aftermath, as the alien ship lay in ruins on Earth's surface, Zarek stood silent, grief-stricken. He had witnessed the power of humanity firsthand, and now he understood why Earth was off-limits. The humans were not just another species. They were something different, something far more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. The humans had won their first battle with the aliens, but they had no idea that this was only the beginning. The galaxy had underestimated them, and now the aliens would have to learn the hard way what it truly meant to face humanity. After the crash, the survivors of the alien ship, battered and broken, were captured by the humans. The once proud warriors, who had felt invincible in the comfort of their technologically superior ship, now found themselves at the mercy of a species they had deemed insignificant. Their arrogance had led them to believe that they could not be beaten, that humanity was nothing more than an unrefined, primitive species. But the aliens had grossly underestimated the Earthlings. The aliens were shackled and transported to a hidden underground military base, a place so secretive that only the highest-ranking officials knew of its existence. As they were brought in, the alien prisoners were surrounded by armed soldiers, their faces determined but cold. The aliens had no idea where they were or what would happen next. All they knew was that they had been captured by the humans, a species they had never thought worthy of their attention. As the aliens were dragged into the facility, their confusion grew. The base was unlike anything they had ever seen. High-tech, fortified, and brimming with advanced weaponry. Drones and robots patrolled the halls, their movements precise and efficient. The humans had clearly been preparing for something like this. Their military technology was a far cry from the primitive tools the aliens had expected to find on Earth. The aliens' confidence faltered, but their pride refused to break. "We need to get out of here," one of the surviving aliens whispered, his voice low and filled with fear. "This place, it's not like anything we've ever seen." "I agree," another alien replied, glancing around nervously. "But how do we escape? We are trapped." Despite their fear, the aliens still clung to the belief that their superior technology would give them the upper hand. They had cloaking devices, weapons that could decimate entire cities, and combat systems that could annihilate any opposition. But as they plotted their escape, they were unaware of the trap that had already been set for them. In the central control room of the underground base, Captain Riker stood, watching the aliens through a series of holographic screens. His expression was focused, but beneath the surface, his heart raced. Riker was one of the finest soldiers humanity had ever produced, and his expertise in both combat strategy and cutting-edge technology was unmatched. He had seen firsthand what the aliens could do, and he knew that the human survival depended on them being smarter, faster, and more resourceful than their extraterrestrial captors. "Get ready," Riker ordered, his voice calm but commanding. He motioned to his team of soldiers, who were armed with advanced exosuits and AI-controlled drones. The human soldiers had adapted quickly to the new technology, and now they were ready to face the aliens on their terms. The aliens, meanwhile, were making their move. They had studied their captors carefully, looking for any weaknesses, any opportunity to escape. They began to activate their cloaking devices, attempting to blend into the environment, to slip away unnoticed. But they hadn't accounted for the humans' ingenuity. The moment the cloaking field activated, the base's defense systems kicked into action. High-tech sensors, integrated with AI drones, immediately detected the disturbance. Within seconds, the aliens' invisible forms were marked, and the alarms began to blare. The humans had prepared for this. They had anticipated that the aliens might try to escape, and now they were ready. One of the aliens, desperate, charged forward, firing a high-powered energy blast at Riker. But before the beam could reach him, a robot intervened, its shield absorbing the blast. The alien roared in frustration, realizing that every move it made was being countered with precision. At that moment, Riker, fully geared in his advanced combat armor, stepped forward. He was not only a soldier but also a tactician, his mind always several steps ahead of the enemy. His armor was designed for both offense and defense, and it gave him a formidable advantage over the aliens. "You think you're the only ones with advanced tech," Riker said, his voice low but filled with unwavering confidence. He motioned to his team, signaling them to move into position. The aliens, still disoriented and confused, tried to regroup, but they were no match for the humans' preparedness. As the first alien soldier lunged at one of the AI drones, the drone countered with a quick move, grabbing the soldier by the arm and slamming him to the ground. The alien gasped in pain as his weapon flew out of his hand. "We don't fight like you," Riker said coldly as he and his soldiers advanced. "We adapt." The battle intensified as humans and aliens clashed in the narrow hallways of the underground base. The aliens, used to overwhelming their enemies with their superior technology, quickly realized that they were not dealing with an ordinary species. The humans fought back with a mix of tactical brilliance and sheer determination. Every move they made was calculated, precise, and unpredictable. As the aliens struggled, the humans fought with a level of coordination that bewildered the invaders. The soldiers, equipped with advanced exosuits, engaged in close-quarters combat with the alien soldiers, their movements swift and deadly. Even though the aliens were stronger and faster, the humans were more versatile, using their environment to their advantage. One of the alien soldiers, seeing the desperation in his comrade's eyes, tried to flee, but Riker was faster. He fired a shot, immobilizing the alien in mid-run. The alien turned to face Riker, his eyes filled with anger and disbelief. "How can you? You're not the only ones with weapons," Riker interrupted. "You're not the only ones who can fight." The humans had proven their point. The aliens, once so confident in their technological superiority, were now forced to retreat. They had never imagined that humanity, a species they had dismissed as weak, could hold its ground so effectively. Their arrogance had blinded them to the true strength of humans: adaptability. As the battle wound down and the alien survivors were secured, the humans stood victorious. The underground base, once a symbol of human vulnerability, now represented humanity's strength. They had fought back, not with sheer firepower, but with intelligence, strategy, and unwavering resolve. The aliens, still in shock, were left to ponder one question: how had humanity, a species they had written off as primitive, defeated them? The answer was clear: they had underestimated the humans. And now, humanity had proven that it was not only capable of surviving in the face of superior technology, but of thriving in the face of impossible odds. The humans had fought back, and they had won. The galaxy buzzed with fear as news of humanity's unexpected strength spread like wildfire. What was once a distant thought, a fleeting notion of a primitive species, was now a force that could not be ignored. The Galactic Council, the governing body of the galaxy's most powerful alien factions, found themselves facing a problem they had never anticipated: humanity. The council chambers, once filled with confident alien leaders discussing the fate of worlds, had become tense and uncertain. What had started as a simple mission to scout Earth had turned into a nightmare. Reports flooded in from every corner of the galaxy, detailing the unexpected events that had transpired on Earth. Alien warships, once invincible, were now lying in ruins, their crews either dead or captured. The survivors returned, broken and humiliated. No one had expected Earth to be capable of fighting back, let alone defeating the most advanced alien forces in the galaxy. In the council chambers, alien leaders sat in their seats, their expressions a mixture of disbelief, anger, and fear. The once boisterous discussions had turned into hushed murmurs as the implications of humanity's victory settled in. The younger members of the council, eager to find a solution, suggested wiping Earth out completely, eliminating the problem before it could grow. But the older members, seasoned warriors who had fought countless battles, were not so sure. "It cannot be done," said one elder alien, his voice heavy with experience. "We underestimated them, but now we know. Earth is not the weak, primitive planet we thought it was. They fought back. They are not easily conquered. But we cannot let them threaten us," argued a more aggressive council member. "We should strike now, wipe them out before they grow too strong. Earth is a threat to the very fabric of our dominance." The debate raged on, but no decision could be reached. Some believed Earth could be crushed with a full-scale invasion, while others argued that humanity should be ignored and left to their primitive ways. However, as each passing moment went by, fear began to settle in among the council members. They began to realize that humanity was not just another weak species to be wiped out. It was something much more dangerous. Humanity had proven that it could adapt, learn, and fight back with incredible resourcefulness. The loss of their commanders in the previous encounters was a painful reminder that Earth was not to be underestimated. The death of Bonner, the experienced alien soldier who had been one of the first to engage humanity, had become a symbol of human resistance. His loss echoed through the ranks of the Galactic Council, casting a shadow over their once unshakable belief in their own superiority. Bonner had been one of the best, a warrior whose skill and experience had been unmatched. Yet he had fallen, not to a superior force, but to the ingenuity of humans. Bonner's death became a rallying cry for the humans who fought back against the invaders. It symbolized their resilience, their ability to stand tall in the face of overwhelming odds. For the aliens, it was a wake-up call. If humans could defeat a warrior like Bonner, what could they do to the rest of the galaxy? In the Galactic Council chamber, the atmosphere was thick with unease. One member, a shadowy figure who had not spoken throughout the meeting, slowly rose from his seat. His face was concealed by a hood, but his presence was undeniable. The other members fell silent as he began to speak. "We must change our approach," the figure said, his voice low and calculating. "We have underestimated humanity at every turn, but we cannot make the same mistake again. We cannot allow Earth to grow stronger." He walked to the large galaxy map that dominated the center of the chamber. The holographic display illuminated the room, showing the vastness of the galaxy, with Earth at the center. Surrounding Earth were numerous alien ships, each marked with a red symbol representing failed missions. The map revealed a trail of retreating ships, each one carrying the scars of their failed attempts to subdue Earth. "The more we fail," the shadowy figure continued, "the stronger humanity becomes. They are not just surviving, they are evolving. We cannot afford to give them more time." His words sent a shiver through the council members. The idea of a species growing stronger after each defeat was something they had never considered. In their arrogance, they had assumed that humanity would be easily crushed. But now, they knew that Earth was not just another insignificant planet. It was a place of untapped potential, where the people had the capacity to rise to any challenge, no matter how daunting. Fear began to creep into the hearts of the council members. Some had lost faith in their own leadership. Others began to question their own decisions. The once united council was now divided, and fear spread like a virus. The realization that humanity could not be easily defeated was sinking in. "Perhaps it's time to negotiate," one member suggested, a hint of desperation in his voice. "We cannot afford another failure. If we offer them peace, perhaps they will leave us alone." But the shadowy figure scoffed at the suggestion. "Peace? With humans? They have no reason to trust us. We are invaders to them. The only way we will ever have peace with Earth is if we prove we can destroy them. And even then, they will never forget what we have done." Another member spoke up, his voice trembling. "But we cannot fight them forever. We have already lost so many." Bonner's death was just the beginning. The mention of Bonner's name hung heavy in the air, a reminder of the harsh reality the council now faced. The death of one soldier had sparked a chain reaction, triggering fear and doubt in the minds of those who had once believed themselves invincible. The loss of Bonner, along with the failures of the alien warships, had shaken the foundation of the Galactic Council. As the debate continued, the shadowy figure turned back to the galaxy map. He stared at the small blue planet, Earth, which now seemed to pulse with a newfound power. He knew that humanity was no longer just a potential threat. It was a force to be reckoned with. And if they did not act soon, Earth would grow too strong for anyone to control. "The time for hesitation is over," the figure declared. "We must strike again, but this time, we must be prepared for the unexpected. We must not underestimate humanity's ability to fight back." The council members nodded, their faces grim as they came to a difficult realization. Humanity had become an existential threat, and it was only a matter of time before they would have to face the consequences of their arrogance. The debate was far from over, but one thing was clear. The Galactic Council was terrified. Fear had taken root, and for the first time in history, the most powerful beings in the galaxy were questioning their own supremacy. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and Earth was no longer just a planet. They were a force to be reckoned with, and no one knew what would happen next. The Galactic Council had always prided itself on its strength, its unchallenged dominance over the galaxy, and its ability to crush any species that dared to rise against it. However, in the case of Earth, something went terribly wrong. The humans, a species once considered primitive and insignificant, had proven to be something else entirely. They had taken on the most powerful alien forces and fought back with an unexpected ferocity. After the initial failure of their first contact with Earth, the Galactic Council struggled to come to terms with the reality of humanity's unexpected strength. But as time passed, the Council's frustration grew. The failed missions to Earth were a constant reminder of their arrogance, and the loss of so many soldiers, especially Bonner, had shaken the very foundation of their belief in their own invincibility. News of humanity's resilience spread quickly throughout the galaxy, and the Galactic Council was in a state of panic. They had underestimated Earth, and now they were paying the price. The humans were no longer just a minor nuisance. They had become a major threat, one that could no longer be ignored. Fear swept through the council chambers as the leaders realized that they were no longer in control. The humans had shown that they could adapt, learn, and strike back with incredible precision. In their desperation, the council began to debate their next move. Some members insisted that Earth should be destroyed immediately before the humans grew any stronger. Others argued that perhaps a peaceful solution could be reached, but those voices were growing quieter. The majority of the council members now saw humanity as an existential threat, one that could not be left unchecked. But as the council deliberated, Earth's response was already in motion. The humans, tired of the constant alien incursions, had made a decision. They would no longer wait to be attacked. They would strike first. The human leadership, now aware of the full extent of the alien threat, began to mobilize their forces. Using the alien technology they had captured from the wreckage of the destroyed ships, humanity began to reverse engineer the technology and improve upon it. They worked tirelessly, developing new weapons, cloaking devices, and advanced spacecraft that would allow them to launch a counterattack. The humans had learned from their encounters, and they had become stronger, more resourceful, and more determined. The battle for Earth was about to take a dramatic turn. In the dead of night, the first wave of humanity's counterattack began. Massive star destroyers, the likes of which the Galactic Council had never seen, emerged from Earth's atmosphere, cloaked and ready to strike. The ships were equipped with advanced weaponry and orbital bombardment systems. These weapons had the power to level entire cities, but the humans had adapted them to target the alien fleet specifically. The first major confrontation occurred in the vast emptiness of space above Earth's orbit. The Galactic Council had gathered its fleet, believing it could crush the humans once and for all. The Council's flagship, a massive vessel that commanded respect across the galaxy, led the attack. But they were not prepared for what awaited them. As the alien fleet descended upon Earth, the humans launched their assault. From the shadow of the Earth's moon, human star destroyers emerged, cloaked and silent. The Galactic Council's flagship, unaware of the human ships lying in wait, was the first to fall. With a thunderous roar, a volley of energy blasts struck the flagship's hull, causing a massive explosion. The flagship, once a symbol of the Galactic Council's power, was torn apart in seconds. As the debate continued, the shadowy figure turned back to the galaxy map. He stared at the small blue planet, Earth, which now seemed to pulse with a newfound power. He knew that humanity was no longer just a potential threat. It was a force to be reckoned with. And if they did not act soon, Earth would grow too strong for anyone to control. "The time for hesitation is over," the figure declared. "We must strike again, but this time, we must be prepared for the unexpected. We must not underestimate humanity's ability to fight back." The council members nodded, their faces grim as they came to a difficult realization. Humanity had become an existential threat, and it was only a matter of time before they would have to face the consequences of their arrogance. The debate was far from over, but one thing was clear. The Galactic Council was terrified. Fear had taken root, and for the first time in history, the most powerful beings in the galaxy were questioning their own supremacy. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and Earth was no longer just a planet. They were a force to be reckoned with, and no one knew what would happen next. The Galactic Council had always prided itself on its strength, its unchallenged dominance over the galaxy, and its ability to crush any species that dared to rise against it. However, in the case of Earth, something went terribly wrong. The humans, a species once considered primitive and insignificant, had proven to be something else entirely. They had taken on the most powerful alien forces and fought back with an unexpected ferocity. After the initial failure of their first contact with Earth, the Galactic Council struggled to come to terms with the reality of humanity's unexpected strength. But as time passed, the Council's frustration grew. The failed missions to Earth were a constant reminder of their arrogance, and the loss of so many soldiers, especially Bonner, had shaken the very foundation of their belief in their own invincibility. News of humanity's resilience spread quickly throughout the galaxy, and the Galactic Council was in a state of panic. They had underestimated Earth, and now they were paying the price. The humans were no longer just a minor nuisance. They had become a major threat, one that could no longer be ignored. Fear swept through the council chambers as the leaders realized that they were no longer in control. The humans had shown that they could adapt, learn, and strike back with incredible precision. In their desperation, the council began to debate their next move. Some members insisted that Earth should be destroyed immediately before the humans grew any stronger. Others argued that perhaps a peaceful solution could be reached, but those voices were growing quieter. The majority of the council members now saw humanity as an existential threat, one that could not be left unchecked. But as the council deliberated, Earth's response was already in motion. The humans, tired of the constant alien incursions, had made a decision. They would no longer wait to be attacked. they would strike first. The human leadership, now aware of the full extent of the alien threat, began to mobilize their forces. Using the alien technology they had captured from the wreckage of the destroyed ships, humanity began to reverse engineer the technology and improve upon it. They worked tirelessly, developing new weapons, cloaking devices, and advanced spacecraft that would allow them to launch a counterattack. The humans had learned from their encounters, and they had become stronger, more resourceful, and more determined. The battle for Earth was about to take a dramatic turn. In the dead of night, the first wave of humanity's counterattack began. Massive star destroyers, the likes of which the Galactic Council had never seen, emerged from Earth's atmosphere, cloaked and ready to strike. The ships were equipped with advanced weaponry and orbital bombardment systems. These weapons had the power to level entire cities, but the humans had adapted them to target the alien fleet specifically. The first major confrontation occurred in the vast emptiness of space above Earth's orbit. The Galactic Council had gathered its fleet, believing it could crush the humans once and for all. The Council's flagship, a massive vessel that commanded respect across the galaxy, led the attack. But they were not prepared for what awaited them. As the alien fleet descended upon Earth, the humans launched their assault. From the shadow of the Earth's moon, human star destroyers emerged, cloaked and silent. The Galactic Council's flagship, unaware of the human ships lying in wait, was the first to fall. With a thunderous roar, a volley of energy blasts struck the flagship's hull, causing a massive explosion. The flagship, once a symbol of the Galactic Council's power, was torn apart in seconds. The destruction of the flagship sent shockwaves through the alien fleet. For the first time in their history, the Council's ships were on the defensive. The humans had outsmarted them, using their own advanced technology against them. The sight of the flagship's destruction was a turning point in the battle. The Galactic Council had underestimated humanity's capacity for strategy and ingenuity, and now they were paying the price. But the battle was far from over. The human forces, though smaller in number, were proving to be an unstoppable force. With every passing moment, the humans pushed forward, destroying alien ships one by one. Their star destroyers, now joined by fleets of smaller ships, struck the alien fleet with precision, using the element of surprise to their advantage. On the battlefield, human soldiers clad in advanced exosuits led the charge. These suits, designed for maximum mobility and protection, allowed the humans to fight in close combat with the alien invaders. The humans, outnumbered and under-equipped compared to the alien forces, used their resourcefulness to turn the tide. They fought with a fierce determination, their strategy always one step ahead of the alien forces. The visual spectacle of the battle was one for the ages. The sky above Earth was filled with the fiery glow of explosions, the debris of destroyed ships falling like rain. The once proud alien fleet was now in chaos, retreating in disarray as humanity's forces advanced. In the midst of the conflict, human soldiers engaged in hand-to-hand combat with alien invaders, their weapons clashing in a flurry of sparks and energy blasts. The destruction of the flagship was only the beginning. One by one, alien ships were destroyed, their hulking forms falling from the sky as humans continued their relentless assault. As the battle raged on, the aliens began to realize the full extent of their mistake. They had underestimated the humans, thinking them to be a primitive species, but the humans had proven them wrong. Time and time again, humanity had fought back, adapting to every challenge thrown their way. And now, with their stolen alien technology, they had become a formidable force. With each victory, humanity's confidence grew. They had fought the impossible battle and won. But the war was not yet over. The Galactic Council, now desperate, was scrambling to find a way to stop the humans. But no matter what they tried, the humans always seemed to be one step ahead. The emotional weight of the battle was not lost on the soldiers fighting on the front lines. Captain Riker, one of the leading figures in the assault, watched as his team dismantled the alien forces with precision and determination. He had seen friends fall in battle, their sacrifices etched into his mind. Yet every fallen comrade seemed to fuel the fire of resistance, pushing him to fight harder, to win this war. The loss of his team, the camaraderie they had shared, had made him stronger, and he vowed to honor their memory by securing humanity's victory. The visual detail of the battle painted a clear picture of humanity's resilience. As the alien fleet scattered, the human forces stood victorious. The sky, once filled with alien warships, was now quiet, save for the human ships hovering above Earth, watching over their home. The humans had taken control of the battlefield, but they knew that the fight was far from over. The Galactic Council would not surrender easily, and the war for Earth's future was only beginning. The destruction of the flagship was just the beginning of humanity's vengeance. Against all odds, the humans had managed to turn the tide. Their victory was a testament to their strength, their will to survive, and their unshakable belief in the possibility of a future free from alien domination. The underdog had risen, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The Galactic Council had been rocked to its very core. The loss of their flagship and the subsequent retreat of their fleets from Earth had shaken the very foundations of the Council's beliefs. Humanity, once thought to be a primitive species, had shown them just how dangerous they could be. The galaxy's most powerful leaders had learned a harsh lesson. Humans were not to be underestimated. In the depths of the Council's chamber, the elder alien sat before a young cadet, his voice steady but filled with weighty authority. The cadet, eager to learn and full of questions, had been carefully listening to the elder recount the tale of humanity's unexpected strength. The elder spoke of how the Galactic Council had once thought Earth was just another insignificant planet in a far corner of the galaxy. They had believed that the humans were too unrefined, too primitive, to stand against them. But the elder's tone had grown darker as he detailed the events of the war. The humans had fought back with a level of strategy and ingenuity that had completely caught the Council off guard. They had reversed engineered alien technology, developed advanced weapons, and even used their own cloaking devices to destroy the Council's flagship. The cadet's eyes widened in shock as he heard how humanity had, against all odds, turned the tide in the battle, crippling the Council's forces and proving their resilience. The elder's words hung heavy in the room, and he leaned in closer to the cadet. "This is why," the elder said, his voice full of gravity, "it's illegal to approach humans." The cadet, though still young and inexperienced, was beginning to understand the gravity of the situation. The elder's warning was not just about the current threat. It was a reminder that humanity was not a species to be trifled with. They were unpredictable, and they had the potential to tear apart the carefully constructed order that the Council had spent millennia building. The elder's eyes narrowed as he continued, "Never question the laws. Never forget that humanity must be avoided at all costs." The cadet nodded, but deep inside, he felt a stirring of doubt. There was something in the way the elder spoke about humans that did not sit right with him. His instincts told him that there was more to this story than the elder was letting on. The elder's eyes softened, sensing the cadet's internal conflict. "You will understand one day," he said, standing up. The cadet, still unsure, remained seated, the elder's words echoing in his mind. That night, as the cadet lay awake in his quarters, the weight of the elder's words pressed down on him. He had been taught all his life that humanity was a threat, a species to be avoided, a species to be feared. But something had shifted in him after hearing the story. He couldn't shake the feeling that the humans might not be the enemies they were made out to be. What if they could help his species? What if they weren't the mindless, primitive beings the Council believed them to be? The more he thought about it, the more the idea took root. The elder's warnings no longer seemed like wisdom. They felt like control. The Council's fear of humanity was clearly growing, and the cadet began to wonder why. What was it about the humans that had struck such terror into the hearts of the galaxy's most powerful beings? Driven by this newfound belief, the cadet made a decision. He would contact Earth, reaching out to them secretly. He knew it was risky, but he couldn't ignore the pull he felt toward the humans. They had fought back against the Council's might, yes, but they had done so with honor, with ingenuity, and above all, with strength. The cadet believed that humanity could offer something the Council had long since forgotten: hope for a better future. He carefully gathered the necessary equipment, ensuring that his transmission would be undetected. His heart raced as he prepared to send the message. The Council's laws forbade contact with Earth, but the cadet no longer cared. He wanted to know the truth about the humans, to understand their potential beyond the Council's narrow, fearful perspective. With a deep breath, he activated the transmission device. His fingers trembled slightly as he spoke, trying to maintain a calm, measured tone. To the humans of Earth, he began, his voice steady despite the pounding of his heart. I come in peace. I seek your help. The Galactic Council has failed, and I believe humanity holds the key to a new future for our people. He paused for a moment, then continued. I know you've been wronged, that you've been made to suffer, but I believe we are not your enemies. Please, hear me. As the transmission was sent, the cadet felt a sense of hope rise within him. He believed that humanity, in its strength and wisdom, could understand his plea. He had reached out, risking everything for a chance at peace, but little did he know, his transmission was not as private as he thought. On Earth, a human officer intercepted the signal. The transmission was clear, but there was something about the message that caught their attention. The officer, a seasoned veteran of many battles, listened carefully to the alien's words. To the humans of Earth, I seek your help. The officer's brow furrowed as the transmission continued, but as it ended, he knew one thing for sure. Humanity's reputation was far more dangerous than the cadet could have ever imagined. The officer turned to his superior, a hardened leader who had seen the horrors of the war against the Galactic Council. Without a word, the superior officer nodded. The decision had been made. The officer responded to the transmission, his voice calm but filled with authority. We don't play by your rules, he said, his words sending a chill through the cadet's spine. The message was short, but it carried a weight that sent a clear message. Humanity was not to be underestimated. The cadet's heart skipped a beat as he heard the response. The words reverberated in his mind. He had wanted peace, had hoped for an alliance, but now he realized the truth. Humanity was not a species to be swayed by diplomacy or fear. They had their own rules, their own way of doing things, and they were not interested in the Council's laws. As the cadet stood in the quiet of his room, his mind raced. He had hoped to find a path toward peace, but now he understood that humanity's strength lay not in diplomacy or alliances, but in their unwavering resolve. They had fought the Council and won. They had faced overwhelming odds and turned the tide. And now, with one simple response, humanity had made it clear they were not to be controlled, and they were not to be feared. Looking out the window, the cadet saw the stars stretching out before him. His gaze fell upon the horizon, where the faint outline of a massive human fleet could be seen, preparing for whatever came next. The fleet was an awe-inspiring sight, its sheer power a testament to humanity's unwavering determination. The cadet's mind whirled as he realized that the galactic order had been forever changed. The humans, once considered weak and insignificant, had risen to become a force that could no longer be ignored. And now, as the cadet watched the fleet grow larger on the horizon, he understood the full scope of humanity's power. The Council had underestimated them before, but they would never make that mistake again. The cadet knew, as he watched the fleet prepare for the unknown, that the future of the galaxy had been irrevocably altered. Humanity was no longer just a species to be feared. They were a force to be reckoned with.